All right, there we go. We should be getting the mic now. All right, there we go. We should be getting the mic now. All right, folks, sorry about that. Welcome back to another Firestorm Studios live stream. My name is Pat, and we are going to be continuing with our A to Z of sculpting creatures inside of Zbrush. It's really lovely to have you all here, and thanks for hanging out this afternoon. So let's get stuck straight into this, and we are going to be creating a velvet worm today, and in particular this little guy here. Now I want to give a bit of a shout out to Nikki Bay for this the photography here that we're using as a main reference. This is sgmacro.blogspot.com, so please go and check them out. Hey Caligo, thank you very much for coming along. Yes, we're doing the velvet worm. The vote on the Discord was a bit of a landslide. We had a vaquita, which is a porpoise, or we had the velvet worm, and yeah, the velvet worm won by 85%. So let's get stuck in then, folks, shall we? Let me just adjust my display, make sure that we're at the right height. Okay. So, as always, folks, if you are brand new to this series, the rules are as follows. We take a letter from the alphabet, we pick a creature beginning with that letter, and then we create the creature live on stream cold. The only preparation I'm allowed to do beforehand is to find reference of the creature that we're going to be making. And that means that we always have to kind of, because we're going at these kind of cold, it can be a little bit of a delay while I'm trying to constantly think about how we're going to start this. So let's see here. All right. Let's scale this up a bit and have a look. So we can see that we've got quite a lot of surface detail on this creature, and that might immediately make you think, "Ooh, that's quite a lot to do. It can be a bit intimidating." But if you ignore the surface detail and just focus on the primary shapes that the little creature has, that's going to make your life a lot easier. So ignore these little bumps and lumps. They can be dealt with later on. Let's first focus on how we're going to make this creature up. Now, something I can see from this reference and the more high resolution reference that I have in my pure ref here is that we might be able to cheat this just a little bit. And what I mean by that is that a lot of these segments, things like the arms, the antenna, these look like eyes, these things here, but they're not. Those are a defensive mechanism. They kind of like fire out some kind of liquid when these creatures are threatened. The eyes are actually these little bits here. You can just see them on this photograph. So, but all of these parts, myself, major shapes first, then details. Exactly, major shapes first, and you will get yourself 75% of the way there with your model. And I think we might be able to just make these parts individually and then combine them in together and then apply the details that we need to them individually and then just slot them in and they will all match up. I think that's what we're going to do. So let's move this over to the side and let's get started. So I think we will begin just by blocking out the main shape of the character, and then we can separate everything off as we needed. So let's grab a polysphere, drag that out, and we're going to go into initialize. Actually, no, before we do that, we'll make it a polymesh 3D, initialize, and Q-sphere. Subdivide it once, and delete the lower. All right, folks. And I apologize if you can hear the air conditioner behind me. It is just too hot to not have it on. And the first thing I'm going to do here is grab my move brush, make sure I am in symmetry mode, and start to shape out this little guy. So I'm just going to mask the bottom and just drag this down, peel it out. There we go. Thanks, Caligo. Appreciate it. Good to know. I'm going to grab the Z Modeler brush and just add in a few edge loops. You'll notice that I'm not going into Dynamesh here. I don't think I need to at this stage. I just want to create the shape that I need. Now, the velvet worm itself is actually quite long. I can bring in another reference image that I got from Pixabay to show you just how long these little critters are. So let's show you. There we go. Let's bring this down. We're going to move that over here. Actually, yeah, let's put it over here. That gives you an idea of how long the velvet worm actually is. But we're only going to focus on, as always, we're going to focus on the head, or the kind of upper torso area here. And not worry too much about modeling the whole creature. So now that I've got the general shape of the body, we're going to delete the lower. We're going to go into the brush menu here, and we're going to go with Insert Mesh Primitives, grab the polysphere, and I'm going to use this to block out where these little appendages are going to go first. In fact, before we do that, actually, no, we'll do that first. So taking it from there, we're going to put them in round about here. But I want to take this opportunity to cover a couple of things that you can do with insert mesh brushes. So as I drag this out, if I tap the control key on the keyboard, what ZBrush will do is it's going to create that insert mesh to the size of our brush. So in this case, as I draw this out and tap control, I'm going to create that at a radius or a draw size of about 56. So I can lower this down, and then as I draw it out, I can make it smaller. And it's always going to have it resting on the surface. So if we want that lower, we can go into depth, and we can bring that down to about halfway, so that when we draw this out, we get something that looks like that. Okay? And I know it looks really weird, but that's all right. That's all right. Weird is good. We want weird. And again, I'm just using this to roughly block out where I think everything needs to go. And in our image here, we can see about 6 of the legs. We'll just make as many as I think we might need. And I'm just going to now rotate these into position. Turn on local symmetry with dynamic turned off so that I can scale these down. And this is what I was meaning. I reckon that we can create all of these parts separately, and we won't actually have to fuse them all together, and it's going to work quite well. And what that will allow me to do is once I've blocked out the overall shape, I can make each of these as individual parts, and then I'll be able to, let's see. So what I am actually going to do before we go any further with the inserting the legs is I'm going to take my damn standard here and just roughly indicate where the segments might go. And if we run out of space, we can just add in another edge loop or two. I'm going to give myself a bit more resolution, like so. We'll smooth all this back And we'll start that again. Okay. So now we can take the legs, and now we can make a few more changes, get these to about the right size. I've made them way too big, about that size. And we'll move these ones down. That looks about right. And then again. Now there is little tricks that you can do with the technique I'm using here to hold down Control, click, and duplicate. For example, if I release the Control key, ZBrush will continue to duplicate them all the way down. But I want to have a bit more control over each section. So I'm simply holding Control, clicking until I get it to the area I want, and then I'm releasing, changing the size and the shape. Okay, let's now do the antenna. Now for the antenna, we're going to use my favorite. We're going to use a Z-sphere for this. We're going to go append. Z-sphere is going to be quite large, so we'll scale it down. And whenever you're doing a symmetrical section with Z-spheres, make sure that you give yourself that center Z-sphere in the middle of the head. Even if you're not going to see it, you will still be better off keeping it. It'll make your life a lot easier when you try and create other objects. So now we're going to make these full antenna. Up to here. Turn off transparency. And let's just take our standard brush and do that. The last thing, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these here, and these are actually, I think these are too big. I'm going to bring those down and move them a little bit. So I'm just going to move them back a bit around here. And then the eyes, we're going to do macro, append eyes. Again, they're going to be really large. Interesting. Where is the other one? I'm going to delete that. Hit OK. Grab the body, macro, and append eyes. Weird. Why are you only doing one? Maybe. Oh, hold on. It might be because I had local symmetry on. Let's try that again. There we go. So yeah, sorry, my apologies, folks. Caligo 05, don't forget to save. Good point. I will save now once I've explained what I'm doing with these eyes. So with the dynamic symmetry on in ZBrush, certain things aren't going to work as you might expect. So for example, because of that dynamic symmetry, when I was trying to create the eyes, ZBrush is trying to make two eyes locally symmetrical, whereas by default it needs it to be needs it to have world symmetry so that it can make them in the right place. So now we can scale these in, scale them down, and these little eyes go about here. And I might take some artistic license and make them a little bit bigger than they are in the real world. There we go. Okay. So, for all intents and purposes, folks, that is our velvet worm. I'm going to grab the move brush here and clean this bit up. And let's okay. For the antenna, of course, we are going to turn them into an adaptive skin. We're going to turn our Dynamesh all the way down, leave the density at 2, hit make adaptive, and under subtool, we'll hit append and choose skin Z-sphere. I'm going to take this one and delete it, don't need it anymore. And I'll do a bit of housekeeping. So antenna, eyes, body, and of course we need to add in our file name for the save file. We'll just scale that down, put it at the base. So, and then we'll do a quick save. So save as Velvet Worm. All right, folks, and there we go. We're now finished. We've completed our Velvet Worm. I don't know about you, but I think it's the best thing I've ever made. No, but in all seriousness, folks, this is kind of how this is a good way of starting any kind of project. If you completely ignore any of the details that you're working with, okay? So if you ignore any of the details in your model and simply break it down into these simple shapes and create the whole character, you can find mistakes. And particularly if you are interpreting someone's concept art and you've mainly got maybe only 2 or 3 concept images or turnarounds to work from, this is a really good way to kind of discover any potential issues with the model that you can take to rigging, you can take to your art director, you can take to your client and say, look, this isn't quite working. We may need to look at this before we put more time and more money into moving forward with the rest of the 3D model. And again, these are all just for instances, folks, okay? As in reasons why we're doing this. So now that we're happy with the overall shape, and I'm aware of what it looks like, you don't have to tell me in the comments. I mean, I'm sure somebody will, either here or on YouTube, but I'm just going to flatten the head down a wee bit. Okay. Yeah, that looks about right. So now, like I said, we have to take a look at building up the rest of the model. And we can do this in separate parts. So we have a foot, and the feet on these guys are basically the exact same. They're all very, very similar. So you can create one of them and then you can duplicate it as needed. Same goes for the antenna. So I think we will start with, let's start with the antenna. Okay. So I'm going to take what I'll do is I'm going to pop these into a group and we'll call this block out. And we'll just pop everything in here. And now I'm going to append another sphere. Go down to initialize. Turn it into a Q sphere. Subdivide. And delete the lower. So let's hide the block out. And for this here, we're just going to create a bit of a disc shape here. I'm just going to make a bit of a disc. Do something like this. Grab the Z modeler brush. And I'm going to delete this middle edge loop. So we get something like that. And what I want to do is I want to be able to move this part in the middle up and down. But I want to do it on both sides. So I've got a couple of ways I can do this. I can mask it all the way through, invert it, and then do a scale, right? But that's a lot of extra steps. Instead, what I can do is if I go up to transform, with symmetry turned on, just change our symmetry to Y. Now, if I rotate the model in the correct way, we should be able to get the symmetry that I'm looking for. Not, oh, wait a minute. Why are you not doing, oh, wait a minute, have I got this the wrong? Wait a minute. Why is Y symmetry not working? Oh, it's because it's not local. Right, my bad. So again, tripped up by the local symmetry, we turn on Y, and we'll do dynamic. Turn off dynamic, got local symmetry now, and now I can move things as needed. So now what I'm able to do, grab the middle section and just move that down. And if I turn on X symmetry as well, I can do each side as needed. Okay. I'll smooth this out a little bit. And I'm going to hit subdivide one more time. And do I want to? Yes, that's what I want to do. So the problem is I'm still going to have this center part here. I want this center section of faces to not have this middle part. So I am going to have to go back in, delete, and then use my Z modeler brush to remove that edge loop. And that is the shape I want. Now, I can take this a little bit further by going back into transform and just turning on radial symmetry from Y. And that's going to give me a little bit more flexibility in changing the shape of this. And that's what I'm going to do. Just to get it away from being a complete spherical object or circular object. Okay. I'm going for something quite random. I don't want it to be too much higher than that resolution-wise, but I am going to bring it down just a little bit in regards to the thickness. Okay, and if you remember, we used Control earlier on to duplicate things. So we can use Control, click and drag. That's going to allow us to duplicate an object. But say I wanted lots of them. Well, I can hold down Control, click, and drag. I'm going to have to go down to the bottom here, click, drag to about here. And then if I release the Control key and keep dragging, ZBrush is going to allow me to keep going like so. All right. Now that's really useful, but it's not perfect for what we're looking for here. Because what I want to do is I want to create a big tower of these weird little rings that this creature has. Okay. And before I do that, I'm going to do a quick poly group, and this is to prepare for later on. So let's turn off our radial symmetry, and we'll go in and just, come on. Why are you not working? Weird. Okay, that's weird. There we go. So I'm going to make a poly group out of this middle section, and that will be important later on. And now I'm going to go into Array Mesh. I'm going to tap Array, and I'm going to repeat my object, let's say 25 times. Now I'm going to go down to my offset, my options down here, offset, scale, rotate, and pivot. And I'm going to choose the Y amount. When I do that, if I do this, you can see I can start to create a repeated shape. And I have no idea how many cylindrical parts that the antenna has, but I'm going to guess, let's say 50. Okay, that looks about right. Let's see. Let's keep doing the, what do we think, folks? 50? No, maybe more, right? Let's do 75. Let's do 75. And then all I have to do is keep using the, we're going to go high as we can until it escapes, and then we'll bring it back down. There we go. Now, at the moment, this is just an instance, and it's not actually real geometry, right? So if I go down to the bottom here and do something like this, I'm going to change the shape of that, okay? And the same goes that if I wanted to, say, add some little bumps onto this bottom mesh, so I could go into Insert Mesh Primitives, grab a polysphere, and well, actually, do you know what? No, I'm sorry, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do it in ZModeler, and I want to do nanomesh. So I want to hold down my spacebar, insert nanomesh, click and drag. And you can see that as I drag out this cube, it's being added all the way up my mesh. So all I have to do is under nanomesh, I need to be able to pick a different brush. So how do I do that? Well, I don't want to pick another brush. I want to make another brush. So I'm going to do, sorry, folks, I say so a lot. I am aware of that. I'm going to make a new nanomesh that's a similar shaped little bumpy part, but a bit more random than just a sphere. I'm going to go append. Again, we're going to make a sphere, turn it into a Q sphere, subdivide it a couple of times, and then we're going to take the move brush, AQ curve, and radial symmetry. In the Y. And I'm just going to use that to, oh, why is that doing that? There we go. I'm just going to use this to shape out the top of the object. Turn off AQ curve. And turn off radial symmetry. And I just want to make a non-symmetrical little bump that maybe got a bit of a tilt to it, like that. When you're looking at it from the side, it looks like this. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to rotate it, maybe about there. And I'm going to mask off this section here and flatten it down. Maybe do a little bit more reshaping. And you can go as detailed with these as you want, but just remember that the more detailed you make your nanomesh brushes, the heavier your mesh will become, okay? Because you're going to be dealing with quite a lot of geometry, right? So wherever I can, I will try to reduce it. So for example, here, we could maybe do something like this. Delete hidden, auto groups, delete this one, and then just do a close holes. That's going to reduce how much geometry we have. And I'll just leave it like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to brush, create, and I'm going to choose create insert mesh. ZBrush is going to bring up this warning here. I'm just going to say new. And now you'll see at the top, I have an insert mesh brush. Next, we're going to go back to brush and choose nano mesh brush. Okay, ZModeler will immediately be activated. And then I can go back to this object here. And now I can go insert nano mesh, polygroup all, and now I can draw that out like so. And there we go. And now we have essentially those discs with all those little nubbins or little spikes on them. And if we go back to our array mesh options, you'll notice that we also have a whole bunch of other options here for kind of adjusting and changing it. So for example, we can go to scale here, and then as it goes up the object, we can start to scale it down. So I want to scale that down in both the Z and the X. So I'm just going to do that like so. So we'll maybe do 0.5 in both. Zbrush definitely needs better ways to input numbers. There we go. And now that I've got the general shape of the antenna done, I can just say make mesh. And now that I've done that, I go into my subtool palette. I now have my antenna. Oh, what's it done? Oh, it's merged it together because we were too close. Okay. There we go. Let's make sure that that is, let's go back into array mesh and get that offset correctly. I want to turn off extrude. That was another thing I forgot to do. There we go. And the cool thing is that because that scale is still in effect, I can change the offset of my object and it'll keep the taper intact. So it allows you to just play around with this pretty well. And obviously if we can go into rotate here, you can see that I can rotate it as well. So you can do all sorts of cool stuff with this. Like that. Okay, and let's say we rotated it around the Y. You can see that with a little bit of repeated geometry, you can create some really cool effects. Obviously, I don't want to have any rotation on that. Oh, there's also pivot, which is going to, I can't remember actually what pivot lets you do. I think you have to blend it with the rotate, if I'm being totally honest, folks. Anyway, let's get back to making this. So I'm going to go make mesh. And that's, as long as you don't have extrude on, it'll keep it as it was. And now I have my object. Now I need to finish the top of it off. So we're going to go to append, sphere. And I think what I'll do this time is with my Q sphere, I'm going to delete the lower and I'm just going to duplicate this. So I've always got that backup when I need it. I'm going to take this one, move it right to the top, like so. And I can delete the bottom half, like that. Delete hidden, close holes, bring that down, maybe flatten it a little bit. And same thing again. Looking at the reference here, they appear to have, they do appear to have little spikes on them as well. So we're going to use nanomesh again. So Z modeler, insert nanomesh. And well, actually I need to grab my nanomesh brush that I've got. So where is it? And we want to do polygroup all. Where is it? Nanomesh. So I just need to, why is that not, oh, weird, it's not kept my my brush. I'm going to have to make brush, create nanomesh, and then do this. Now, this is really interesting because the way that ZBrush kind of works with the nano mesh is you can see that it's given me exactly what I needed on the bottom rung, but it's a little bit more random on the top. So for this, you can maybe select some of these, make a polygroup, and then add in other ones like so. And then you can just rotate them like that. Okay. So there we go. That's the antenna. And we'll just merge them down. Oh, of course, it would help if I had... of course, I forgot to say make mesh. So we'll try that again. Need to take this top section and just flip that off. We'll try again. Another thing you can try is if you go into Nanomesh and you can scroll down and you can try the alignment. So you can do an align to normal, and that's actually fixed that as we needed it. That's perfect. Okay, so now we can go down to inventory and just say 1 to mesh. And what that will do with the nano mesh is it's going to just copy that out, and then we can just merge them together. Hey, what's happened there? Oh, that's frustrating. Okay, so I'm just going to pop the nano mesh in again and do the same into nano mesh and 1 to mesh. And now we are good to go. We can take all of our different parts and merge them down. Go back to our block out, and we're just going to scale down our antenna. Nifty. Thank you. It is quite handy. It's pretty handy. So what I can do with this is we find where... Well, let's just hide the... there we go. That looks about right to me. We can maybe do a little bit of a non-uniform scale on it as well. There we go. And now comes the cool part, because we can go into bend curve. We can use the curve resolution slider to give us a little bit more resolution. And then we can bend that into shape. And instantly, we have our antenna. And we can also increase the resolution a little bit more on that bend curve just to get some more realism. And with each section that you click on as well, there's also a squeeze or a bit of an inflate. Okay, so you can see at the bottom here on the reference image, it's a little bit inflated. So we can just inflate that out like so. And if we needed to make the end a bit thinner or a section in the middle thinner, we can do that as well. Do a quick BPR render. We zoom in. You can see the shape that we get. All right. Then once we're happy, we just go back to Gizmo. Well, we can do accept Gizmo 3D. And I'm going to turn off my dynamic symmetry. Set the center to home, and then I can do mirror. Append as new subtool. And the reason I'm doing that is just that if I want to go in and kind of add more to it, I can do that. So I think what we'll do for the next part is I'm going to go back to the block out, take the body, I'm going to split on mask points, because the body I'm actually quite happy with. So we'll pull the body back out and move the antenna up. I'm going to keep a hold of this little shape here and this sphere here in case I want to make any more parts for the model. So, and I'm just going to do a bit of housekeeping. So this is the, let's see here, what are we doing? That's the left, that's the left antenna. So there we go, that's better. Oh, I've got body. So let's do a little bit of work on the body now, because you can probably guess what we're going to be doing for the rest of the legs. So let's get the body working. I'm going to just use the relax smooth brush here just to clean up some of these parts. And we're going to subdivide them a couple of times. I'm going to grab our clean build-up brush, and I'm going to start sculpting around the shapes. Let's just get a better material to work with here. So folks, I know we jumped straight into things today, so if you do have any kind of queries or questions about what we're doing, please do be sure to ask in the chat. Shout out and say hi. Let me know how your Thursday's going. I want to know. I want to know how everyone's Thursday's going. I just need to get some. I've got some really crazy close-up shots of these guys. They are so weird looking, but kind of cute at the same. They've got a weird cuteness to them. I'll give them that. So I'm just going to damn standard this part down the middle, just to kind of create the mouth opening a bit. Right now while I'm enjoying the stream. Excellent. That's what I like to hear. So we're going to now bring in some of the segments for the body, just to where each of the arms are probably connected. And yes, it's phallic looking. Unfortunately, caterpillar style worms just are. So we're going to add a bit more shape to the body. Move everything back. Also, here's a fun fact for you. This particular species of velvet worm is actually named after Totoro in the cat bus, actually. It's named after the cat bus. Apparently they think it looks like the cat bus. I don't think it does. I really don't think it does. I think someone made a mistake with that one. This isn't the first time I've had to do kind of like a weird kind of caterpillar type thing. I do remember, oh wait, this would have been, yeah, this would have been 10 years ago now. Was it 10 years ago? Almost 10 years ago. No, it was 10 years ago. Sorry, folks. When I worked on Fantastic Beasts, the first Fantastic Beasts movie, I had to sculpt a caterpillar for Frank, the giant Thunderbird thing. One of the characters has to feed him this this little bug, and we needed one. So I probably spent way too long sculpting it, if I'm honest. Okay. The great thing about this little guy is we don't actually need to do a lot in regards to the shape. Also, I kind of feel like I have to do this. I mean, I am aware what it looks like, or what it resembles, I suppose, or could resemble. But poor Heather, it happened to her when she was sculpting a humerus bone, and it looked like something a little bit dodgy. So I am just going with this, folks. We're just embracing it. Can't say what it is because we want to keep this nice family friendly, but you all know. So my plan for this as well is, because of the kind of style of creature he is, because they've got these little lumps and bumps, what I'd like to do, and this is actually why I specifically did not use Dynamesh. I want to keep I actually want to just keep the God, this is just getting worse and worse. I wanted to keep the subdivision nature of it because we're going to use a similar technique that we did for the antenna, but we're going to do that across the whole character body. I like it, yeah. It's like, don't be daft, Pat. Nobody knows what that is. Nobody knows what this is. Completely wholesome and not obscene in any way. And we now need to try and get the shape around the antenna. We're going to do that manually. I know it doesn't look exactly like the one to the left, but I have other reference of more high resolution that's kind of giving me the shape I need. And I also want to make sure that I get the eyeball, or whatever it is, I guess, get it set into the head as well. So let's take those eyes out as well. There we go. And we'll turn on our dynamic, our local symmetry again. Okay, let's see if it's going to, nope, going to be, going to make my life difficult. There we go. Speaking of wholesome, folks, if you are in the UK, I don't know if it's available anywhere else, on Amazon Prime, there is a film called The Sheep Detectives. I highly recommend you watch it. I know that sounds really silly, but trust me, it's great. Oops, there we go. And I want to get his little Jabba the Hutt style chin in, because that just makes me laugh. Okay. So what we'll be doing for for each of the wee feet is we are going to just do one of them and then duplicate them and just slot them into these little sections. Okay. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of reshaping here, folks. There we go. Suppose we should save again, right? All right. So we've got a good base, I think, for the character. And just to show you what I was meaning, if we then decided that we wanted to do, because I'm going to show you another trick with nanomesh, but let's say I wanted to put nanomesh on this. Now, we're in a bit of an issue here because nanomesh and ZModeler are only going to work on a model with no subdivision surfaces. So what we do is we are going to duplicate this. So we're going to hit clone and just clone out the body into a separate sub tool. And now we can choose what level we want to work with. So we'll just delete the lower and the higher. And that's actually probably a bit much. So we're going to undo that. And I'm going to go to subdiv level 3, delete higher, delete lower. And that's more like it. Now, if I grab the Z modeler, I can go to nanomesh and we can draw them out. And now all those little bumps are in the right place. But before we do that, we have to separate it into different polygroups in case we wanted to chop and change it and make some of them larger. But what we can do as well, if we go into nanomesh here, you can do, you can actually kind of do a fit. And what that's going to do is, depending on the size of each polygon, it will adapt to the size. And you can do all sorts of stuff here. Do all sorts of kind of weird, you can do proportional, you can see the difference there. And we can also, we can go down to alignment, align to normal, align to short edge. You can do all these different types of alignment. Then you can go into the tile. That's a bit much, but you can see that you can actually tile the object on each axis. So you can make even more. So you can add whatever you're applying to each polygon, you can apply multiple of them, all right? So you can also do random distribution like that. They do all kind of cool things. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to knock this back. I'm going to go back a few more steps, I think. There we go. I think actually that's going to be more than enough. It is. That's plenty. So I want them to be separate. However, I want to show you another little trick you can do here. So if we take our polysphere here, go back over and append that. Looking at the coloration of these guys, it's kind of like a peach and a purple color. So for each of these little nodules, there's a darker part at the top, and then it's peachy colored underneath, so it's lighter. So let's go for this yellowy saturated color. There we go, desaturated even. There we go. So let's subdivide it once in case we want to do any kind of shape to it. And then I'm going to take the top, which I think I'm going to go with, oh, wait a minute. Let's get this color right first. And just do RGB fill object. Then we'll take something that's a bit redder. I'm going saturate a bit. And from the top, I'm just going to paint that shape. Okay. We can then take our transform, activate symmetry, radial, and let's make sure that we've got the right radial on. And now we can start to shape this out. And then for the top, there we go. So now that I've got that in place, I am quite happy with how that looks. I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to go to brush, create insert mesh, new. Then with that, I'm going to go brush, create nano mesh brush. And then we'll go back to our object here, switch that back to white, go into ZModeler. And now I can draw those out. Now you'll notice that they're now in the wrong orientation, and that's just because of how I created the brush. So you can see that because essentially when you make a insert mesh brush, it will be created based on the camera. So if I rotate and look at it this way and create the insert mesh brush from the top, when we apply it to a model, it's going to stick out of the model as though the bottom of it is sitting on the normal. But we can also try to fix that with simply rotating it under nano mesh. I can take the rotation and let's do, there we go. And we'll just start playing around with some of this here. We can also do an offset here. So it's at the moment it's going to be embedded into the mesh. Well, maybe I don't want that. Maybe I want it to be offset from the surface a little bit. So let's do that with Y. There we go, just a tiny bit. And I can also modulate it by color if I wanted to, but that's more to do when you have multiple paint, you have paint or you have poly groups. I can also do a variance of the width and height, etc. So for example, we can increase a little bit of width variance and length variance like that. And you're going to get randomization across the surface. I'm not actually too bothered about that. I quite like the way that it's actually sitting, like so. And I think for this, oh, there we go. Now, there's going to be certain parts that we don't want it for. That's fine. I can just delete them later on. I'm not too bothered about that. But what I do want to do is just try fit and then increase the size. No, Not a fan of that. So we'll just do... Oh, I did not want to do that either, although that is actually kind of cool. If I do the size, push the size up, that's actually kind of awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, I think we're going to stick with that, folks. All right. So now that I've got the way I want it. Oh, that's just unfortunate. Right. Let's do inventory and one to mesh. And now we can apply that to our model. Now, if we go into auto groups here, it's going to take a little second because there's going to be quite a lot of objects to make polygroups for. But when I hit Control F, you see I get something that looks like that. We'll jump back over to this. We'll hide that. So, and I'm just going to append in and see if it works. We might have to go back and fix it. Potentially. Let's hide the... Yeah, I think we're going to have to go back, unfortunately. Okay, not a problem. We'll go back. We'll hide that because it's shocking. And we'll just undo everything that we did. We can get back to our nanomesh and see what we can do. So let's see. Turn off constant height. We're going to start reducing the size a bit. We'll maybe bring that offset back in. Something like this. And I think as well what we're going to do, we're going to turn off nanomesh for the time being, and I think we need to make a couple of polygroups. So I'm going to take my select lasso, do this, and I'm just going to go through each section, between each arm, and let's do you as well, like that, and we'll do auto groups, invert, group, and now I can just actually auto groups for that as well, and just clean these up. A lot of the time you will spend in any 3D package, preparation is one of those things that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's incredibly important because it means that it can make the difference between a model working at the end of a very long, long project and one not working. Okay, and it also means that you reduce the chances of little surprise mistakes that pop up. So now with nanomesh, what I think I'll do is I'm going to do this with each section. And then that's going to give me a bit more control. So the cool thing about this is that I can adjust the rotation here. So we're going to take the X rotation. And I really quite liked the way that the offset worked there. So I'm going to push the offset back in the model and do something like this. There we go. Then I can copy it. Then go down and do another one. Oh. And if I hit paste, it's going to copy that one that I just made, but it's going to now allow me to go in and make some more adjustments to it. Same with this one. So I'll take this top one here and copy it. And at the top of your nanomesh here, you'll see that as I make new nanomeshes, I'm able to go through them, copy it, draw one out to the next section, hit paste, and then I can start tweaking and adjusting to my heart's content. So now as I rotate these ones out, maybe I want to rotate some of those objects a little bit. So I can rotate them maybe in the Y or maybe in the Z. Or I can just be really smart and do what I wanted and do that. And start rotating them in the X to create the effect that they're actually slightly overlapping. And if I wanted to, again, I can maybe do a bit of an offset. So as I do an offset here, we can create a bit more of sometimes make a bit more of an overlap depending on what you're creating. But that's working quite well, I think, for me. I just want it to be a bit smaller. And then we'll do the same for these lads here. There we go. Copy that one and paste it to there. I'm just saving myself quite a lot of time, and I can rotate them as I need them. And this is allowing me to fully control how much of these objects are scaling to create the effect I need. And if I needed to, I could also kind of create that cool effect where they're starting to merge together. There we go. And I much prefer that to what I had before. Now, what you're able to do here is you can go in and make each one individually a mesh. So, but I'm just going to put all to copy one nanomesh to mesh. What's this? Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to go through and create each of these. So let's go right back to the top and do one to mesh. Just go through each of these, and you'll see that as we turn them into a mesh, it's going to move down, one to mesh. And this is going to have much less impact on your system, because remember, you're dealing with a lot of different objects at this point. Okay, so now that we have all of that in place, I'm going to remove all of the polygons in the middle, because we don't need them. Like so. There we go. Split on mass points so that it splits out the base geometry. And we're now left with just the little spikes. And now we can go back over to our original model, get rid of this rubbish one that we don't need. That's just terrible looking. And then append in a new one. Move it up to the body. And yeah, that looks way better. So obviously we need to change a few of the details. So actually they're not too bad. I'm not going to lie. They're pretty cool. But what I would like to do is I want to go in, and where is my insert mesh? So I still have the insert mesh brush. So what I'm able to now do is I can go in. Oh, dang. Sorry. My apologies. If I want to, I can duplicate my high-res mesh here. We can duplicate it. Where is it? Duplicate. There we go. And delete the lower subdivs. And I can just go in and use that to draw out new shapes. But remember what I was saying, that because of how I created that insert mesh brush, it's not actually laying out the way I need it to. So to fix that, I have to go back over to my other model. And then rotate this from above. Go to brush, create insert mesh, and new. Now when we jump back to here, and we start adding things in, going to stick out from the surface. And then the last thing I need to do, go to depth and just have that sit under the surface of the eye. Oh, it needs to be a bit more than that. So we'll do brush and push that right under. There we go. And we'll do the same around the antenna. Like so. And if there's any other little parts here that I think, oh, I could just add in a few more. Say I was doing a close-up of the head. We can go in and fill in any gaps just to kind of take away some of the, oh, got to be careful, can't rush it. There we go. Just to fill in anywhere that's not quite looking as it should. But likewise, we can take this here, and if there's anything that we think, well, we could do with deleting some of them, well, let's do that. But I'm going to save it because I've just got one of those gut feelings that when I hit auto groups, ZBrush is going to be like, no, 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 crash. But how are we doing, folks? We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. We're doing not bad. We're doing not bad because we have went through quite a lot of explanation about nanomesh, which honestly, I mean, I'm not even using it to its full potential here. Nanomesh and array mesh. So let's jump over to the move brush and do auto groups. There we go. And now under the polygroup menu, I can also do merge similar groups. Oh no. Now we may have crashed ZBrush. So folks, while we're waiting for ZBrush to either remember what it's doing or crash on us, I want to remind you all that if you are wanting to know a little bit more about Firestorm Studios and what it is that we do here, please be sure to check the social links below this video and follow the QR code to our Discord server as well, where you can join a really amazing community of fellow artists, and you can also come and chat with some of the Firestorm team as well. We occasionally will hang out in the video chats, so feel free to come along, say hi, show us your work, and just kind of, you know, get a lot of support. And the same goes if you are looking to expand your knowledge and your skill in the in your chosen software or skill set of choice. You can reach out to Firestorm Studios and find out more about the mentorships that we have on offer. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to go through and just remove the ones we don't need. That. And do a quick, oh no, we need to do this. Be very careful about what we do here. So I need to do that and then do that. Delete hidden. The sensible part of me would be to take each of these groups and split them off, but I'm not going to do that. we're going to play it. We're going to be risky about it. We're going to take a risk. I'm just going to go in here now and unmask that. Actually, I need to go back to the other one. This is the wrong one. So I need to do, actually, this is the copy. So I can just do that and do delete hidden, because I only want these extra little parts. This is the proper one. This is our proper character. So in here, I can start doing a few extra little bits and bobs. There we go. All right. So you can probably imagine what we're going to do for the feet. So let's do a bit of housekeeping, shall we? Let's take these and merge them down. And we've got the antenna. And do you know what? I think I'm going to merge the... No, I'm going to leave the antenna as they are. Eyes, got body, and we'll call this... We call this the underbody. Underbody. There we go. And we'll call this one... I'm just going to call it spikes. There we go. And get the arms off now. Delete this, delete all. Probably not going to... Oh, wait. No, we do need that one because we're going to use that for the legs. And we will just go into here. Leave them in place so I know where to put them. I think I'm going to take these and separate them out. So split unmasked. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. That's the one. We take these and we're going to create our nanomesh brush. Insert nanomesh. Need to grab the nanomesh brush first. Where is it? Is it this one? That'll do. We can easily fix that. So we'll just do a quick... Where am I? Sorry, folks, brain. There we go. Nanomesh. We'll do alignment, align to normal. And let's just do a rotation. So rotation on X. There we go. And we're just going to increase the size of those. That. Perfect. Inventory. One to mesh. Grab the move brush and I just want to separate these out. So again, you take these and split unmasked. And again, I'm going to take these and merge them down. Merge down. Okay. I'll do the same with the underbody. I think, actually, do you know what? For the underbody here, we're going to use these as a reference. I'm just going to sculpt over the top of them. Like that. And maybe put in a little bit of shape to it there. Yeah. We can get rid of these. Delete. Okay. Underbody is on. Yeah. Actually works really well. Because what I'd like to do as well with this underbody section, I don't know why that is. Oh, wrong bit. That's why. I'm sculpting on. There we go. There we go. I'm going to take the underbody itself and we can actually put a noise onto that, just to really add another layer of detail. So we'll go to surface, noise, and let's just zoom in here. I'm going to take the color blend down to 0. And now I'm going to just increase the scale of the noise. And then in the curve here, we can play around with that until we get something that we like the look of. There we go. Hey, Amy, how you doing? Thank you for coming along. How's things? You've joined us at an important time. So we're just going to increase the scale a bit more. Maybe play with the strength. And then hit OK and see how that looks. Yeah, do a quick render. So probably time for us to start coloring this guy. So I'm going to go with, actually going to remove this image here, and we're going to bring this one in. I'm going to bring it in as a background. So load image. And let's bring that in. And that way I can pull some of the color off of these. It's the cutest bug ever. It's just so happy. It kind of is. And the weird, I've been doing some research on them, and apparently they're quite vicious. Which is kind of funny, that they're essentially little monsters, apparently. So yeah, so take that for what you will. But yeah, they're apparently quite horrible little creatures. But they look cute. That's maybe part of their appeal. Violent ones are always the happiest. Right, let's get skin color on there, or skin material even. They're ugly cute to me. They are ugly cute. They are ugly cute. This is very true. And we're now going to apply some paint to this. I'm going to take my paintbrush. I know we haven't done the feet yet, folks, but we've kind of done the feet. And I'm trying, I hate having to kind of hide everything because it makes everything look kind of difficult. So we're just going to do fill object on this. I'm going to switch over to this color, and under the stroke, we're going to set the color to 0. And then just start doing something like this. Switch back to that, lower the intensity, and just start softening off the transition a bit. And there's also a bit more of an orange going through them as well. Some warmer tones. That's not the color I needed, but there we go. That's a little bit strong, so let's bring that down. There we go. And we'll get the red. So what I'm going to do here as well, I'm going to take this object here. So we've got the little bumps and stuff. I want to put the same color on it. So what I can do here is I can actually move this above my underbody. I'm going to save it again, just in case. And then I'm going to go down to project, but I'm going to turn off geometry and I'm just going to do a project color. Yes. What that should do, yep, there we go. It's now going to take the color from underneath my object and it's going to bake it into the stuff on top. So I don't have to do any extra painting to it. I'm going to do the same here. Well, not the same here. We're just going to try and figure out why this isn't working. Why are you not? Oh, that would be why. Because I'm painting with white. I'm just going to do a fill object on these. And then we'll take a more saturated purple, nice low intensity, and we can just start to why are you not? I've done it again. Something I do need to fix, folks, is my colors at the top. They're just not working as expected. There we go. Yeah. I think what I might need to do for the actual underbody here is I need to do something a bit better than this noise. That's not looking how I wanted it. I mean, one thing I could do here is I could actually turn off 3D, sorry, the basic noise. So I can take the strength, put it down to, actually no, this noise can put it down to 0, and then turn on noise plug. Now, unfortunately, you won't be able to see this window until I actually apply it. So give me 2 seconds, folks. I'll see if I can find something that I like. And then hit OK. Take the basic noise down to 0. And then I'm just going to take the plugin scale down. And then up the strength. That's not really what I was looking for. So I'm going to try something else. Let's see. Nope. Keep going till I find something that's working for me. Oh, that's quite cool. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. We'll just up the scale a wee bit. As soon as I did that, I was like, nope, don't like the scale. Let's bring it down. That's better. And maybe put a little bit of basic noise in as well. There we go. That's better. And what we're going to do, lower the S normals and apply that to the mesh. Now, I'm going to have to go in and push the strength up really high, just so that when I do an apply to mesh, it actually gives us something decent. Now, I think what I'll do is I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to subdivide one more time. We're still under 1 million, and whenever you're using the surface noise in ZBrush, you do want to make sure that you've got a high number of polygons so that when you apply it, you don't get any weird low pixel, like, low polygon effects. But of course, the higher you go up, the more you'll have to deal with the strength issues. So in that event, make yourself a layer and then apply the noise with a layer active, like this. Now you can go into the layer, and if it's too much, you can pull it back. Okay. But I'm quite happy with that, so I'll bake all. And let's now make the feet. Let's see. So we've got, what's that? That's the underbody. That's the new body with the spikes. So let's do another bit of housekeeping. Spikes. Spikes, underbody, antenna, eyes. Okay. Velvet Worm version 5. How are we doing for time? Okay, we're 1 hour 40, folks. So we might go over a little bit, but maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to start with a new shape here. I'm going to take my I'm going to take the sphere that I've got here and just move that up. And let's now chop the bottom off. Delete hidden. I'm just going to flatten the bottom part. Scale it out. Taper it. We'll probably need to add in a couple of new edge loops. Like so. There we go. And I will close the hole at the bottom. Let's get the new shape done. We're going to curve it at the back so that we can attach it to the body. Alrighty. Now, for this, they've got these extra little parts on the front, so I don't want to, I need to go back into ZModeler because I actually need to make this into a new polygroup, just this little paw section, like that. Like that, okay? And then the rest of it will turn into the spikes. So we're going to take our nano mesh. I really should have named these. But look at that. It's almost as though, just out of complete luck, I managed to figure out which one it is I needed. Now, it looks as though these are in the wrong position, so I'm just going to do that. That looks all right. But yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. And we go into nano mesh. Where are we? There it is. So now I can do a little bit of rotation, like so. And I'm just going to do a little bit of an offset and push them ever so slightly into the mesh again. So, right. I'm going to, okay, let's just turn this off. I need to make this bottom one into a new polygroup. Because I want to make these larger. Although we don't want that bottom section. We just want the top section. There we go. Oh, dang. Let's try that again, shall we? There we go. And for this one here, remember I can tile these. So I can actually tile them both ways and increase the size. That's actually kind of cool, isn't it? And we'll just play around with some of the offsets here now. How does that look from... No, I don't like that. That's starting to... Okay. We're going to have to add in a few more edge loops. Pop it back on. There we go. That's better. We'll go back to this one to mesh, and then one to mesh. Now for these, we just want to immediately... Wait a minute. Where is... Oh no, they're still together. That's fine. That's okay. So we'll just hide all of the geometry that we don't need anymore. Well, we do need it, but I don't want them to be combined at this point. So I'm just going to do a split unmasked. And then on this underlying object, we're going to take our curve brush. So we're going to take curve tubes snap, and we are going to make some little doodads. It's the only way I can describe them, folks. They've got these kind of really large looking kind of fingerprint things on the pads of their feet. I mean, just everything about these creatures screams we're cute, but we're also ugly. So it's quite fun. So we'll do a quick auto groups so we can get rid of that there. So we'll do split unmasked points. Okay. And the only reason I did the split unmasked points at the moment, it's simply so that I can see if I want to change anything shape-wise. So we're going to do that with the little pads. We're going to do a little bit of work with them. And this is also going to allow us to color them a little bit easier as well. And it looks as though we've got the same kind of peach color for the underside here. So let's get that filled in. And we'll get the purple as well. Same trick as before, folks. We're going to take the spike sections. We're going to hide everything else apart from the little arm and the spikes. And now we can do under subtool. We'll go to projection, turn off geometry. That's important. And then just hit project all and say yes. And then what it should do is it should project the... Oh, What's it done? Why have you only done that? Well, it might not have been large enough. Oh, well, you can see there that it's projected some of it. In fact, it could be because they're not at the top of the stack. Let's try that. Okay, let's try this again. Move them to the top of the stack, and we'll try another projection. No, doesn't like it. Weird. Okay. Well, in that case, we'll just have to do it manually. It's not a big deal. We'll just grab each of these and grab the color, fill object, and then the same goes for the back. There we go. Add in a little leg, and we'll merge them all down now. Do a bit of housekeeping, get rid of that, and keep the body part for the time being. Oops, turn off symmetry. Yeah, be very aware that if you have symmetry on and you're starting to move things around, Zbrush said, "How dare you?" Right? It's like, no, you won't be doing that today. I know you've shown people how to do this once, but I've decided, no, you can't do that. That's not. I'm just not. I'm not for it today. So just do something like that. And we can start to push these into the body. So as always, folks, I wanted to kind of cover nano mesh. One of those things that we haven't really went into detail with on any of the streams. And when I realized what we were going to be making, and when I saw it, I thought, oh, that's perfect for nano mesh and array mesh and things like that. I thought, right, that's what we'll do. We'll do some array mesh stuff. So hopefully this has been helpful for a lot of you. And we are, of course, we've been going through these pretty quick, I'm aware, but we are so close to finishing the A to Z series that it just seemed to make sense to really start finishing these up in a meaningful way. So let me just take the arms here, and we're just going to mirror them across as a new subtool. And there we go. Now, let's put him into a folder. We'll just call him Velvet Worm. That's not how you spell Velvet Worm. So let's rename that folder. I was mentioning this on my personal stream last night. I've had to switch over to a new keyboard because the intense heat that we've had recently basically melted my last one. I left the blind up in my office, and I think the heat from the sun just cooked my my keyboard. So so we're also now just going to do one last little thing. I'm going to pop all these little guys in here. Do a quick save. I'm going to load up last week's, I say last week's, I'm going to load up Monday's owl because I need to steal something from it. So we're going to steal the tree here and just do an append. He is okay. So let's do this with a tree. And we'll take our velvet worm. And we're going to go to T-pose mesh. Yes, I'm aware of that. And hide the tree stump. There we go. And with this guy, I'm going to go into bend curve, and I'm going to hope that everything actually works as planned, and it's not. That's irritating. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, okay. Right, so we're going to have to come out of T-pose sub T. I forgot that it doesn't let you do this. You can't use the deformers, you know, in T-pose. It'd be kind of cool if you could. It's all right. We have another option. We have another option. I think we can do it as an option. What's this? The heat has been so bad this year. Not surprised the sun. Yeah, it's particularly in the UK. I mean, as in, what I mean by that is that in the UK we're just not set up for this kind of heat. And once heat gets into your home, good luck trying to get it back out. So, okay, so let me see if I'm able to do this, and then this. No. Well, that's irritating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the tree and grab the velvet worm and try this as a T-pose mesh, so that it's only the velvet worm that is actually in the T-pose mesh. And then hopefully I can now use bend curve. There we go. Okay. So let's just lower that resolution. Actually, let's increase it. FBI. How are you? Hey, FBI, how you doing? Yeah, I'm doing good, thanks. Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. We're almost finished with our little worm. For today. Wanting to add a bit of a curve to it. Nothing major. There we go. And then hit. Oop, come on. Accept. All right. And T-pose sub T. Please don't break. That's all I'm asking. Don't break. Okay, now we can turn the tree back on. And I'm going to take the whole group here and I'm going to transform it. I'm going to go to transpose set and then just do that. And then do this. And then if we do a quick little render, we get something that looks like this. And there we go. All right, folks. So pretty much just under the 2 hours as well, we have finished our velvet worm. I'm just going to save it. And pop that there. Yeah. He's all done. All right, folks. Well, thank you to everyone who has come along and hung out with me this afternoon. I feel it's went pretty well. We managed to cover a lot of detail about nanomesh, which is something I really wanted to cover. So go and have a little bit of an experiment with that. If you're a ZBrush user, check it out. Also check out things like array mesh, see how you can mix the two together. And just play around with the settings, folks. Just play around, see what you can do, and then if it breaks, restart and try again. And that's kind of what we did with this. This is such a random little thing to make, but it seemed to work out quite well. And it looks quite like it. It's pretty close. It's pretty close. Thanks for streaming. Stay safe and hydrated. Thank you, Kaligo. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, folks. Well, I guess it's time for us to finish up. So I would like to say once more, thank you all very much for coming along and watching us while we sculpt our velvet worm, and for supporting Firestorm Studios. If you want to find out more information about Firestorm, you'll find it in the social links below this video. And you can also follow the QR code, which will take you to our Discord. And over there, you can join a community of like-minded artists, get support, and showcase your work. And you can also find out more information about the mentorships on offer at Firestorm Studios as well. I will be back again tomorrow at 2 o'clock, where we are going to be, let me bring it in, I'm going to show you what we're making tomorrow. We will be making this guy. And if any of you are not aware, this is one of the secondary characters. Hey, Patricia, we're just finishing up. Oh, hey, that came through on the, yeah, redeemed hello. That came through on the live stream sound, Patricia, I think. I think we're fixed, I hope. But yes, this is the wolf character from Disney's The Sword and the Stone. Yes, the old animated one. It's a secondary character, really, secondary little antagonist that I think a lot of people really liked. And I thought it'd be quite fun to sculpt this. Similar to the way that we did Kuzco from The Emperor's New Groove. So that should be a lot of fun to do. And we're going to round out the week by sculpting him, and that will be W finished, which means we only have X, Y, and Z to do next week. So busy week next week, but I think we can do it. So, all right, folks, with that in mind, I'm going to let you all go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I wish you all a pleasant evening, and I'll see you all again tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC for us sculpting the letter W. All right, folks, take it easy. Bye for now.